Dear audience, welcome to the show POWERchat. In today's episode, we will be discussing about the relationship between Nepal and Germany, also German government's development support in Nepal. Joining me today is His Excellency Matthias Meyer, German Ambassador to Nepal. Please allow me to welcome him. Welcome to the show, Your Excellency.
Welcome and thank you for inviting.
And it's almost 3 years you joined Nepal as the Ambassador of Germany. Would you tell us your impression over Nepal's development and diversity issues?
Of course, I arrived at a time when things were quite well, but soon after that we had the devastating earthquake. We had also a kind of land blockade, which made the country suffer very much. And I came into a period which was difficult to manage for the country. So we had to do a lot for restructuring, for rebuilding houses, for monuments. And that was a time when we really suffered and felt together with the Nepalese to build the economy from a very low point up. And that was not the best start, because you were already on a way where you would leave the status of least development countries. In 22, I think at the time when I arrived. But that hit back on the economy, on the social life, and we regret it very much. And so we have to start completely new, though we have a lot of experience in the country, but it was not the best start for my work here in the country.
Do you think that the development process as such is in right track here in Nepal?
It was, because what I told you, a bit interrupted by the events. And so there was not a clear perspective how you should manage it. It was too much on a burden of the country, for the country. And so we had discussions with our friends in the development field, Ministry of Finance, and we tried to find out what is the most urgent need for the country. And besides that, we had many private initiatives, many people from Germany coming here and say, how can we help? And this was at the very beginning not easy to streamline and to organize and to get on the way. And still today we have some problems from time to time where we say, well, things could work better together.
What is your impression over the diversity issues? You know, there are so many languages, so many identities, sometimes considered to be problem to development process. How do you take this?
I think it is an interesting thing in the country. I don't like countries which are where you have only the same language, the same culture. Here, when I go and travel from village to village or to the mountains, I see so many different ways of how people live. And it makes it not easy for policymakers here in the country, I can imagine. And we have the problem with the constitution also, because some people say we are not well integrated. But on the other hand, I mean, if once it is accepted that this country has a unity, has a kind of identity, then things of course can work very well. But I think you have to work on that.
I will come back to you on constitution.
Yes.
And I would like to ask you about the relationship between two countries. How do you observe the state of relationship between two countries, Nepal and Germany?
I think we started in 1958. The diplomatic relations are now almost 60 years. Next year it will be 60 years. Our cooperation started in 1961. And since then we have almost committed 1 billion euro to the country. 1 billion is a lot of money, but it's already 60 years, also 50 to 60 years. So we have a lot of projects where people say, well, this is German Nepalese cooperation. For example, Bhaktapur. Take Bhaktapur. Many people, whenever I see them in the street, they say, Bhaktapur. And that is seen as a kind of German Nepalese city already. So there we try to improve the infrastructure. The old city was completely reshaped in a way that there was sewage system and water lines put new. And the transformation of the city was in a way that tourists were very much attracted to come there and see the historic monuments. So I think that was some very good step, and it started in the 70s already and went for 20, 30 years. Then we have other fields, of course, which are also very important. Hydropower. Hydropower was one of the big fields of cooperation at the very beginning. Masyangi, you know, the hydropower station we built there as the Germans was the first big hydropower plant with 70 megawatt at the time. It's still working today. We just try to renovate it because there were some problems with the engines. But these are the things which I would like to mention as kind of very important projects in our cooperation. But we have more in the field of, let's say, energy, alternative energies. Health is a very important issue. You cannot say health, there is one main project, but it's all over the country, and you can see that we are known in many small places, even in Nepal, because we have done something there.
You highlighted, Your Excellency, on the energy and hydropower things, and there is sometimes much criticism that Nepal was unable to utilize its natural resources, including that of the water, compelling people into dark for long years. What, in your experience, how the natural resources, that of the hydropower or energy production, could be best utilized?
I think I'm optimist. You're on a good way. When I look back, when I arrived here, there was 8 hours, 12 hours load shedding. Now there is no more load shedding. And sometimes things arrive on a very short notice. And this was in effect done with a new director in the NEA, and also with a new leadership in the Ministry of Energy. So we have clearly seen that if you try to manage utilities in a way that it's coming to the benefit of everybody and not only to some few people, then it could have a good effect. And since I see that many projects in the hydropower field are just before being implemented and get their output, I would see in the coming years, even 1-2 years, there could be a big increase of electricity production, and even that there is a chance for the country to export this, because it's your commodity and your richness which you can give to other people.
What are other most outstanding progresses that have been taken place since the countries established with diplomatic relation in 1961? I
think and I don't want to start too early in the political field, but you have gone through a political parts of your development, which brought you to now a situation where the country is at the beginning of a very big democratic process. And if you see that from the beginning to here, from the monarchy to here, you have done a lot of development. I would say it's a positive thing. But this is politics, and maybe we talk a bit later. What I can see also as a positive thing, that Nepal was, in my eyes, a bit more isolated.
Isolated in terms of?
Geographically, economically, in the 60s, 70s. I mean, even at that time, it was not allowed for foreigners to come here. It's not very long ago. Now everybody can come, tourists can come. The country is opening itself. Also from China there are more ways coming through now. India was always a very close neighbor. And I think the good and the positive development here for the country could go through this kind of trying to link different countries through your country here. That means India, China, and also East-West. I think that could be the best for the future. Well,
how can long cherished relationship between two countries be, intensified in terms of development cooperation, both in the areas of infrastructure and human development?
You mean the German Nepalese?
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, we must say, well, we are not direct neighbors. Germany lies a bit afar. When I go to home, it's 10 hours flight, and it's not so easy to really attract the interest of people in Europe to mountainous areas like Nepal. But since we have had long-standing relations, we can build on that. We can try to find fields where we say, well, this has been shown to be very fruitful, successful, and we have good models to show to others, and we can build on them. And they lie in the fields I just mentioned. I mean, this is health sector, is a very positive cooperation field. If you look into what happened in Dulichel with the hospital there, we have lots of doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists coming here on a basis that they just don't want to have money, but they just go to the hospital and try to get in their knowledge to what is existing there. And so the hospital is developing its own skills through these kind of cooperation. So it's human factors which add to development. And I think for the future, it's not only the materialistic. Potentially, Nepal is a rich country But what is missing sometimes is the skills and the human factors to develop this richness. And therefore Germans can be very important.
Well, Your Excellency, what are the German government's development priorities in Nepal at the moment?
At the moment we invest in three main sectors. That is the health sector, as I said. Then it is the energy sector, transmission of energy also, because you need transmission lines when you have new hydropower projects. And then it is the trade, because trade is, I think, one of the most interesting sector for the economy here, besides tourism. And we try to improve the ways how the country can export products to foreign markets. Not only bilateral, but also on the SAARC framework, because SAARC has already some mechanisms, and we as Germans, we are involved in that also, and try to open ways that goods can go more easily from country to country. And that should be to the benefit of Nepal.
What is your observation about the stakeholders, especially that of the government line ministries and NGO sectors, non-governmental organizations?
I am completely satisfied. The thing is that we work together since long time. We have our cooperation in the technical level of ministries, of line ministries. So we have these kind of relations which doesn't change with the change in government. But if you go to the top, it is always for us also a bit difficult, because the ministerial level, they have different ideas when there comes a new minister. And we have to adopt to that. But on the technical level, medium level, it is an excellent cooperation, and we really enjoy the support from them, and our project have not faced any problems so far.
Sometimes there is criticism that the resources have not been properly utilized, both by the government agencies, sometimes by the development partners. How do you observe that situation?
No, with us it's not possible, because we have this direct let's say cooperation between our experts and the Nepalese experts. So it's not projects which goes through the NRA or goes through the budget, but we have the direct project. So we are in the field, we have the person-to-person contact, and for example, if we establish a hospital or a first aid station, then we are working together with the local entities, and we can exactly see what's happening and if there are obstacles. But I have not seen that there is any problem if you do it directly.
Well, how do you observe the present political state of Nepal?
Yeah.
Are you optimistic that the constitution and the idea of federalism will be implemented on time and along with the aspirations of the people?
I have to be frank. I'm a bit worried, because I think that necessary steps to be done in this country, like elections, amendment of constitution, are not followed in a way that there is a kind of solution to be seen. In our eyes, and I started with that, local elections are one of the most important steps to build up a democracy, because everything comes from the bottom and goes up to the top. So if local elections will take place, and I still hope that the government will announce the date for elections, then something will start which will be good for the country. It is like growing a plant, a small plant, and you will smell it after a while. Another thing to say from my side is that there are too many problems among political parties here. I come from a town very close to where I live, a town which is called Lübeck, and they have a gate, an entry gate, and there is written Concordia Domi Forum Pax. That means you must have unity at your home, and then you have peace also with foreign countries. And here I have the feeling that this unity at home is not there. And I can't explain why not. I mean, you have common interests. The Nepalese have common interests. They are, in a way, wherever I meet them, they have something where they say, we are proud, we are Nepalese. Why don't they have this unity? Why do they fight always against each other? And I wish, from my side, that this could be solved quickly.
Well, what worries you most?
I think the implementation of the constitution is very important, because the constitution gives a new face to the country. And though there might be some deficiencies, I mean every constitution has some deficiencies, also in my country, it's not always positive. But this is a living instrument and can be changed also in future. So I would say the best for the country would be really to take the best out of this constitution and try to implement it. And federalism is new for the country. It's nothing which has been here before, and I come from a federal country. I tell you, it's not easy to do that, to implement all this. But I would like to tell also to your audience.
Your Excellency, based on your experience, that of your country,
Yes.
what are the areas that Nepal should prepare well before going to federalism, practically?
Yeah. Federalism doesn't mean that people go against each other. That doesn't mean that there are borders with customs also among the provinces. On the contrary, it means that people come closer together, that they can work better together. Administration is coming to help them closer. So it doesn't mean if there's a border that it is a kind of a border like a country to country, like from Nepal to India. And some people, they misunderstand that. They think if there's a border drawn from one day to another, you are living in another country. That's not the case. I mean, this is Nepal, and the federalism only means that administrative structures will be implemented in a way that it's more beneficial for the country, for the people. So I would say federalism is possible. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of engagement and commitment, but it is possible for the country. And I still am convinced that this constitution, which is based on federalism, should be implemented.
So there is nothing as such to worry about on federalism.
I see it in the daily work, that there's a lot of misunderstanding. Everything what is going on now is something that people have not been informed enough about what it means for them, for their own life. And this is a problem because still Kathmandu is the center of the country, and the rest of the country lives according to its own environments and rules. And the center here is not in a position and has not done enough in the past to inform the people and to convince them and to calm them and tell them what it means, federalism. I think this is my criticism I have. But on the other hand, I mean, it's a process also, and the country has to work on that.
Well, your country, Germany, through the works of German embassy here in Nepal, investing a lot in the areas of development sector, development partnership, both with the government entities and non-governmental sector. How do you assess the impact of your work here in Nepal?
I'm not negative with regard to that. I have seen that there is fruitful outcome, discussions which I have with many people here, with politicians, with people in the countryside. I have the feeling the only thing which should be here more, and I say that as a foreigner, is to be generous. Everybody should be generous to his neighbor. The same as I'm treated. I mean, as a foreigner, I'm treated really very, very openly and nicely. Why not among the people of Nepal? They should be treating themselves in the same way as foreigners are treated. And I would say, and this is a message I would like to give also, that if you are more generous, then you will see also that things will happen itself. And if you wait for something to come, you will wait in vain. You must do something. You must be positive, make a step forward, and go to your neighbor and tell him, I'm completely confident and we want to work together and we want to open the field of cooperation. That means also the amendments of constitution. Why is it so difficult? In my eyes, it's not difficult to have more provinces or different shape of provinces. Why? What is the difference before? So if people would be generous, I think it could be solved in a very short time, and then it would be to the good of the country.
What are the areas for improvement in the development sector, overall partnership?
That is a step forward to investment, because I think what you mean is when can investment come in? Because we talked about development for the time being, but I think investment is the most important thing, and we will have an international investment conference now soon here in March. I think the environment for investments coming from outside must be improved. For the time being, nobody is really coming to Nepal. Why to Nepal? There is no brand, no, let's say, attractive environment to say, well, we are...
And for that, political stability is must.
Yes, that's the must. And then they have to clean the house. That is, there is a lot to do, that there's not too many bureaucratic hurdles, not too much corruption, legal system should be good. I mean, there's a range of things which should be improved. That doesn't mean that it must be 100%, but you should start this process. And if you do that, people will come immediately. They see this is a safe haven, we can put our money in here, we think even in 10 years we will get our benefit from it.
But if you see every year, the index is, it's frustrating, including that of the international agencies, Transparency International or some other institution, maintaining good governance. So what is your suggestion to the stakeholders here in Nepal, including that of the government, to have good governance so that there is environment favorable for international investment as well?
Yeah, you have to start. And we can discuss this problem, but I mean, you have to start. And as you correctly said, political stability is a very important thing. So in my eyes, in the politics here, there is too much meddling in between. You don't know really who wants what. And this makes a bit confusion to people from outside. There should be a clear-cut policy. You should have a framework, a vision for the country. Where is our interest? Which field? Let's say hydropower. Let's say tourism. Let's say trade. I mean, there are many fields. Agriculture, of course, you don't have to forget that. And when you have this, then you say the government should then give incentives in these fields that people see. But that is very interesting for us. And you have strong neighbors. You have China, you have India. They would do that very much. And when they do, also maybe our investors would come and say, well, that is attractive for us. But don't meddle too much, as I told you, but try to open yourself and say, well, we forget the problems for the time being, the small problems, but we want to address the big problems. And if I may say something for that, maybe you would also try to come on that subject. It is so many problems outside which have nothing to do with political problems. Let's say the air quality here. Let's say the traffic jam in the country. And there are so many, and the road in general across the country. These are things which should be addressed and tackled very quickly. Because if you don't do that, then also for the investment it will not be easy. You have no environment. If there is the bad air, tourists will not come. I came to your studio here. I tried to look to the mountains, to find the mountains. I didn't see them today. Where are they? This is a big question to everybody. So everybody should feel responsible that the country should be in a shape that people are attracted. Clear mountains.
Let's hope that things will be settled very soon.
Yes.
We are coming to the end of the show, Your Excellency. Do you have anything to share to our audience that I have left to ask you?
I want to say, first of all, thank you to everybody in the country who support us and with whom we cooperate, because they are really the best people in the world, I can say. People who you can trust and who is really are really doing good for the country. I address a bit to the politicians because I think they should play more open, not behind curtains. They should be more generous, and they should not suspect that foreign agencies or organizations only do something negative for the country. When I see the good people from Germany coming here, sometimes also not very rich people, that they just come and want to help, why should there be suspicions? They are people who want to help and who have good contacts also sometimes. So I hope, and that is something which I want to say at the very end from my side, that these kind of relations will continue in future, and that will be to the good of both our countries.
Okay, Your Excellency, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Dear audience, time now to wrap up the show. Keep watching us. See you next week. Namaste.